All right, welcome astrology lovers. My name is Amanda Walsh, and I am here today with our wonderful Donna Woodwell, and we are doing the Eclipse Live Q&A. So we've been collecting all of your awesome questions about eclipses, and we are going to answer as many as we can in about 30 minutes here today. So if you are joining us, just give us a little like, a little heart, whatever you want to give us. This helps us know that you're there and that you can hear us okay. Also, whenever we do that, it helps other astrology lovers in our community actually get this broadcast on their feed too. So the more we engage with each other, the more we get to share the love, which is always good. All right. So Donna, hi.
Hey! But hey, before you get started, I want to say something on behalf of our audience, which is thank you so much for providing this eclipse discussion space. I mean, the work that you and Astrology Hub is doing is opening up the conversation in a very powerful way with time that people can develop the skills to be able to really seize on the powerful transformation ability that this event is going to have for all of us. So thank you. And yay, I'm so honored to be a part of it.
It's so my pleasure. I mean, it really is. And the thing that has been so surprising to me is that there isn't more info out there already about eclipses. This is like this big, mysterious portal, and it happens 4 times a year. And we're coming up on one of the biggest ones in U.S. history. And so it's like, of course, we need to start talking about it. So I'm so glad that we have you and all these amazing astrologers that are contributing to the conversation, because it's getting really, really good. I'm loving it.
It's an amazing opportunity to learn. I mean, I've been an astrologer for over 20 years now. And just because of this event and the research that I've been doing on myself and for my clients, it's been a powerful way of rethinking about how eclipses work in our lives. It's going to have ramifications for years to come on the practice of astrology.
Absolutely. All right. I have to give shout outs to Michael, Adrian, and Samantha. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you joining us now, please, if you do have questions while we're talking, you can type those into the comment area below this video. This is if you're catching us live. If you're catching the recording, then you're missing the opportunity to ask us the question live. But you can still put your questions there, because sometimes we are able to go back through and answer those questions later. All right. Let's go to our list. Okay. All right, so a lot of people have been asking about the orb of the eclipse. So how do you, what is the orb that you look at when there's an eclipse? So John says, how big of an orb? My natal moon is 25 degrees.
Yeah, this is a great question, and it's a question that's impossible to answer in one way. When we're talking about looking at the eclipse in your own chart, we are talking about you needing to make a biwheel, which is just basically putting your own natal chart in the middle and then the eclipse chart on the outside. And so you can see the...
Uh-oh. Is she frozen for me?
Alignment, relationship charts.
Hey, Donna?
Yeah.
Donna, I think that we just missed a little bit of what you said. You froze, and then...
Okay.
It got crazy.
All right, so back to the eclipse charts means reading a biwheel. Some people would call it synastry, but it's the same thing that we use when we are analyzing transit charts. So you put your chart on the inside, you put the eclipse chart on the outside, and you look for alignments across the 2 charts. Now, traditionally speaking, eclipses would have very, very tight aspects. But think about what an eclipse is. You can only see it at special times of the year when the sun and the moon are really precisely aligned in the sky. And so if you start putting in humongous orbs like, 10, 12, 14 degrees, that's how far away from the middle of the eclipse that you're getting, all of a sudden you've got this eclipse that's hitting, everything in your chart. So traditionally, they would have kept them really, really small, so like 3 degrees or less, and it only would have been in that direct line of a conjunction and opposition. However, modern astrology changes a lot of things over time, and so some modern astrologers would expand out the radius of the eclipse to be more something like a normal full moon or new moon. or they would look at especially squares and trines and some other things to that degree. So I would say to start with, as you start your research, stick with the close orbs. So anything within 28 degrees or less of Leo and Aquarius. As you get better at it, consider other things and how they align. But one of the challenges for people who are especially new to astrology is to come up with so many factors they don't know how to put them together in a logical way because they don't know where to choose. So I would say with the eclipse, choose the really close ones first and then work from there to find other alignments. But at least you know where to start.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Donna. We've had a lot of questions about where you are physically when the eclipse happens. So I know that, like, for example, where you are when you have your birthday can actually affect that coming year, so the themes of the year. So you can actually place yourself somewhere on the planet if there's certain themes that you want to actually work on in that year. So is it the same with the eclipses? Does it matter where we are, if we can see it, if we can't see it, etc.?
For most people, it's not a solar return chart. They're not having a birthday on the eclipse. If it was your birthday, yeah, I would say that consider where you're going to be because it will affect how your birthday plays out.
What if it's close to your birthday, but not quite your birthday?
It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be a return chart. However, I am going to the eclipse line. I'm going to the eclipse line. Why would I not go to the eclipse line? This is one of the major shows on Earth that should be on every person's bucket list. And it's so rare that it goes over a major populated area that it will take me 8 hours to drive in a car is nothing compared to the people who spend thousands to get out on a boat and go out to the middle of the Pacific Ocean to see one. So do I think that because I'm under an eclipse path, it's going to affect my astrology more profoundly? No. Do I think that being under an eclipse is going to affect me profoundly? Oh, you betcha. You betcha. This hits us on a primal level. And if you want to have that, I was helping one of the Astrology Hub staff this weekend get some information on eclipse related quotes. And I stumbled upon this site with 2,000 or 3,000 years of eclipse documents in history. And people who are astronomers who care nothing about astrology, people who are complete scientists, write these overwhelmingly, I have no words for this. It is, you feel so differently about your humanity by being in this line of the eclipse. So just because it doesn't necessarily ring differently with your personal natal chart does not mean this cannot be an incredibly transformative experience to be under one.
Wow. So those of you who don't know, I live on Maui. And so for me to get to the eclipse line is a big deal. I'd be one of those people spending thousands of dollars, but you're definitely convincing me that it's worth the effort.
You go to Salem, Oregon. Salem, Oregon's going to see this at I think they told me it was at sunrise or sunset, but whatever it is, it's going to be a show. And wow. I will find out more information for you, but I think you're Portland bound.
Okay, Portland bound. Portland or bust. Here we go. All right. Okay, so thank you everybody who's joining us, and just give us a like or a heart if you have just tuned in. We're doing our live eclipse Q&A with Donna Woodwell. So if you're there, just say hello, and if you'd like to ask a question during this live broadcast, you can do so. I also wanted to let you know that you can sign up to get live alerts. So when we go live with our eclipse conversations, you would get a little alert on your phone or on your computer, and you would know that we're live. So you could join us if you're free at that moment. All right, so you can do that, and the link to do that is in the chat. It also gives you options to download a lot of the free gifts that we've been offering over the last month or so. So all accessible from the one link there that we are putting in the chat. All right. I would like to understand better what it means to have a sensitive degree in my natal chart. My prenatal sun eclipse was on the 2nd of October in Libra, my dad's birthday. What does that mean?
Okay, so in essence, what eclipses are doing, when you really get down to it, it's like an evolutionary pulse. It kind of wraps around the globe for one side and then the other side. And with each iteration of the eclipse, it's urging us to transform the particular areas of our life that are affected by that. But in a way,
Okay,
if you,
Donna.
if you stare of the light.
Donna,
Yes.
we missed you again. You said, but either way or anyway, I don't know which one, but then you
Okay.
stopped.
If you are thinking about staring at a light for a while and you close your eyes and you see the after image.
Okay, we're having little
from the
Mercury
light
retrograde moments here.
away.
Donna, we missed you again. You got stuck again.
Okay, I'm going to get stuck for a moment while my computer switches off the Wi-Fi to the hard line. So just be patient. I'll be right back. I'm not going anywhere.
All right. Mercury retrograde moments, everybody. If you have any questions, go ahead and put in the chat. I am paying attention. And I just want to say hello to Tracy and to John and to Pat. Okay, so Pat says, the first issue that came into my head or heart or intuition when I saw where the eclipse landed on my natal chart is where I start as my primary focus. Then I check out other areas and issues that I feel to a lesser degree. That's cool. So yes. Pat's basically using intuition too.
Intuition is always a powerful way to start looking at these things. Right. There's also the whole, there is a system for analyzing eclipses in your chart. Astrologers like Bernadette Brady have pioneered some of this kind of research, and there is a step-by-step process. You can get an eclipse ephemeris, you can go through and search for eclipses in your own life and see how they've affected you. It's kind of like journaling, but on a lifetime scale of finding those key events in your own life.
So more to come on Bernadette Brady, by the way. I just want you to know there is some surprises that we have at Astrology Hub, and Bernadette Brady, who is like, I don't know, the queen of eclipses, the one who literally wrote the book, is maybe coming into our field, everybody. So this is good stuff. Just stay tuned.
So because there are a whole bunch of eclipses in our life, and some of them are going to affect us more profoundly than others. But just like we're talking about this eclipse being pivotal for what's going to unfold over the next period of time, every 6 months we have eclipses. And so the babies that were born during the 6 months after this eclipse have this eclipse stamped on them for the rest of their lives, just like we have our planets stamped on us for the rest of their lives. So that sensitive degree created by the after image of the eclipse exists in your own chart somewhere, and that's part of how you are aligned with the collective unfolding of our evolutionary path on the planet, so to speak. So for me, my prenatal eclipse actually is at 27 Leo. So I find it fascinating that I'm involved in this conversation right now because that is where my prenatal eclipse is. So I'm mark that on your astrological charts and make a note for yourself of when planets trigger that eclipse. Once a month, the moon will move past that degree. Once a year, the sun and Mercury and Venus will move past the degree. Every couple years, you'll see Mars and so on for the outer planets. And note what happens around it for you, because that gives you clues about what might happen in the future.
Okay, Donna, so how do people find this? How do they discover their...
How do they find it? And the fastest way is to get an eclipse ephemeris. And an eclipse ephemeris is just a list of eclipses that can be searched by date or by degree. And so searching by degree, meaning you can just organize them by, Aries, Taurus, and so on down the list, or by date. And so to find your birth date, you just look at your birth date and you look right before it and you see what's there, and what's there will be the ones closest to your birthday will be your prenatal eclipses. There are eclipse ephemerises online, but we are also working to help people out with this kind of research, because at Astrology Hub we believe in empowering all of you.
Yeah, we're going to make that real easy for you. So more to come on that too. Okay. Okay, how will the lunar eclipse on August 7th? We don't talk too much about this lunar eclipse on these calls, so let's bring it in. So how will the lunar eclipse on August 7th affect me, as that's my birthday?
Okay, so lunar versus solar, first of all, sun versus moon, when we talk in astrology, that's the essential yin and yang of the pulse of our cosmic understanding of things. So the sun is the yang force. It's the light. It's the our consciousness, our awareness, and our rationality. Whereas the moon is like our subjective experience of our lives. It's everything related to our feelings and how we collect and intuit information. So knowing that, eclipses take on the flavor of whether they're a sun or a lunar eclipse. So a lunar eclipse impacts us on a deep subconscious level of how we relate to our habits and our beliefs and all that yin stuff of our lives. So having a yin eclipse before a yang eclipse basically means we're working on the subconscious and we're creating new patterns and we're, shifting things on that level before we bring it into full solar consciousness. So the amazing thing about this is that it gives us the eclipse season always gives us two doorways, and this is the doorway to get to our subconscious where we can start working on the spirit level, on the soul level, and we have a 2-week lead up until we get to the Great American Eclipse, which is much more about how we bring new stuff into concrete manifestation. So the fact that it's on your birthday is awesome. Congratulations and happy early birthday. But this is going to be in your solar return for the year. So you can expect a year where you're spending a lot of time processing your habitual ways, your habit patterns, your thought forms, and stuff that you hold on to, and then work to bring them to greater consciousness through the course of your year. So yay! I'm always glad to see people get a supercharge on doing their work, and that certainly applies to you, but everybody can take advantage of this. I mean, eclipses are seen by solar eclipses get a really narrow kind of bullet line of who can actually see them. Lunar eclipses are different. They can be seen by half the planet at a given time if they're strong enough. Now, this one's only partial, so it's not going to be visual the way the blood moons have been over the last few years. That's the total lunar eclipses. But it can still be extremely potent for our astrological understanding of our life's unfolding.
All right. Awesome, Donna. Okay. What about the February 2017 set of eclipses? How long did they/will they last? And what impact or effect do they have on the Sibley chart?
Okay. I have spent zero time looking at those eclipses given how busy it has been. So we will have to table that for another time, or I can suggest bringing in like Kathy Beal or someone who spent some time looking at those extensively to answer that question for you.
Okay. This is a question from Jody about one of the free gifts that we gave. So she says, maybe I'm missing something, but I'm not sure how to filter the information from the free gift to how it affects the personal natal chart. Would it be best to do a synastry chart?
Yeah, that's what I said before. We provided 3 gifts, and they are sort of in 3 tiered layers. And the first one that is something that anybody can use even if they don't know any astrology. And the second one presumes you at least know your sun sign, and you can then do the math and say, oh, if this is my sun sign, then it is going to be affecting me in this house, and here are my key questions. The third gift was a little more sophisticated still. So yes, you do have to be able to create a bi-wheel from your chart with the eclipse chart on the outside. Any of the free services like Astro.com can provide you with the information to be able to create that bi-wheel. So it's totally free for you to do. But once you create that bi-wheel, you have to put the eclipse on the outside and then notice the alignments between the 2 charts.
Okay, so all 3 of those gifts are available at the link that we have in the chat and above this video. Also, if you want to get live alerts, so all from one link, you can get live alerts, you can access all 3 of those gifts. You can join the Astrology Eclipse portal, which is where the conversation about eclipses is happening. So all from one link, you'll have options. You can choose as many or as few of those as you would like to participate in. All right, Donna, let's do a couple more questions here. Okay. Jen, this is an interesting question, especially with your shamanic astrology background. Jen says, what about making a talisman for the event? Any ideas to capture the energy? I'll be in Mount Shasta, California, and would love to be able to capture the energy of both areas at that time.
Okay, well.
Is it visible from Mount Shasta? It's not visible from Shasta.
No, it's a little far south.
Okay.
Okay, this is a complex question. I am, as Amanda said, I do shamanic astrology. I do a lot of astrology and magic, and I teach the classes on this. Traditionally speaking, you would never in a million years have made a talisman in eclipse season, for the understanding that the sun and the moon are the essential life forces. They symbolize our spirit and our soul on those levels. And so an eclipse in traditional astrology would have been something blocking our access to the life force. And so if you made a talisman at that moment, you would in essence be creating a sacred enclosure for you being separated from the life force. And that is not what they would have done. That would be like a black magic device in a sense. However, we're not thinking about eclipses the same way the ancients were thinking about eclipses. We are much more likely to think of them as devices to help us actually engage with the shadow parts of ourselves and in a more constructive way. So making a talisman for an eclipse, I can see someone wanting to make a talisman to do shadow work, but I would caution you to be very clear if you're going to do this and you're going to do the full ritual, because I'm very conservative when it comes to doing magic, because I believe it has very physical effects. And to make a talisman to do shadow work and to, that would be like, jumping on the roller coaster on purpose. And sure, it can be a huge amping up of your ability to face some stuff, but that's an equivalent of like, wishing yourself a transit of Pluto to your ascendant or something else like that. I mean, that's like a rough ride, and it will accelerate what you're due. But use with caution and full awareness of the potential. And if you aren't willing to say, hey, bring it on, universe, and accept whatever happens because of that, because we can grow dramatically from traumatic experiences. But if that's not the way you want to grow, think of other options.
That is very wise guidance right there, Donna. Thank you. It reminds me, so I'm on Maui. I was on the Big Island, and Pele is the goddess of the volcano, and it's the same thing with Pele energy. Like, you are careful. You don't invoke Pele energy for fun. It's powerful and potent in the real deal, and you have to like make sure that you're ready and really wanting that.
Exactly. Like when I was on the Big Island, yes, there's all the stories of people sending their Pele rocks back because they just took them without consciousness. And I have an altar to Pele with lots of Pele rocks on it that I got from the multiple trips I've taken to Hawaii. But I talk to her on a regular basis. She's part of my life and not something that you just make and stick in a drawer. So, this would be a very potent talisman with a lot of repercussions for you dealing with shadow work. And other thing I would say, if you're going to do this, make sure you know how to undo it. Because if you get more than you bargained for and you don't know how to undo the work that you've done, it's not something that you can just pass on to someone else unless you really don't like them. And I would suggest that we don't want to do that. So if you're going to create something, know how to uncreate it if you end up with more consequences than you were bargained for.
Wow. Okay. Proceed with extreme caution. When you said nobody puts Pele in a drawer, it reminded me of that moment in, sorry you guys, in Dirty Dancing when he says nobody puts baby in a corner. It's the same. No one puts Pele in a drawer. So, and this talisman for the eclipse is the same kind of thing. So careful, caution, good. All right, let's see if we have any more questions that we could ask here. Just so you know, everybody, I don't normally answer too many of the really specific personal questions about the chart because I want the questions to be as applicable to as many people as possible. We will have opportunities coming up where you will get to be studying more intimately about eclipses, so you can hold some of those questions for the very near future. All right, so let's see what else we have here. Okay, so can you talk about the eclipse and the south node? So if the eclipse is conjunct someone's south node, how that might affect their
Okay,
life.
so let's talk about the north and the south nodes. The north and the south nodes are the places where the orbit of the moon crosses the apparent path of the sun. So the nodes are where eclipses happen. So if you have an eclipse on your south node or north node, first of all, it's going to be very near your prenatal eclipse. So the one thing you want to be studying already is where's your prenatal eclipse, because by definition, your nodes haven't, it have to be around there in your own life. So that's one thing to start looking at. North and south, astrology was created from the perspective of the Northern Hemisphere. And as much as I love the Aussies and the Kiwis, it really was a Northern Hemisphere phenomenon. And so when you look at the nodes of the moon, the North node is where things are moving towards the Northern Hemisphere, and the South node is where they're moving towards the Southern Hemisphere. So the North node always has the quality in astrology of coming toward you, and the South node of going away from you. This is where the evolutionary astrologers got their meanings for the nodes from. It's a physical, how it looks in the sky. Okay, so North node eclipses traditionally bring things new to you. And South node eclipses traditionally send things away, and they let go of things for you. This is why the doorway portals always come in pairs, because we have an in and we have an out. And we always have a solar eclipse. We usually have a lunar eclipse on the opposite side with it. It's sometimes be a little more complicated, but mostly we have the two, and one is in and one is out. So an eclipse on your south node is going to resonate with those issues from your prenatal eclipse, and it's also going to challenge you to let something go in your life, that whatever's not serving you needs to move along now. And it's not meant as a scary thing. It is meant simply as a way to realign you with your soul's path. And that's really what eclipses are all about. The more I look at them, the more astounded I am of how we have this tailor-made opportunity to really urge us to grow and deepen in our understanding. It is an evolutionary unfolding path.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so we are going to wrap this up. I actually have a plane to catch. I'm heading over to Oahu, so I was like, I'll get Facebook Live in and then just run and get on a plane. But I do want to let you know, next Thursday at 12:30 Pacific, I will be on live with David Palmer, the Leo King, talking about eclipses. And for those of you who don't know, David is going to be the featured astrologer for the lunar eclipse and the whole lunar cycle leading up to the solar eclipse in our Year of Astrology program. So we have a membership program. It's called the Year of Astrology. Donna's a part of it. Leo King's a part of it. Maurice Fernandez will actually be the astrologer who is with us on that new moon day, on that eclipse day. So we are going to have so much amazing things happening in the Year of Astrology around this eclipse. We're also going to keep this conversation going in the Eclipse portal. But on Thursday, I'll be live with David Palmer, Leo King. Sign up for live alerts. You'll get reminded right when we're on live. So whatever you're doing, you can drop it and join us. We'll be talking eclipses. So if you do have questions, put them in Q&A. But normally I keep those questions for Donna. David will just be kind of riffing, and we'll be talking about eclipses and what they mean and why they matter and why he's so excited to be with Astrology Hub leading up to the Great American Eclipse in August. We're also going to be having him on his birthday too, which is very exciting. Yeah. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us, and I cannot wait to connect with you on Thursday. Aloha.
Bye, everyone.